Happy New Year and welcome to Ekeveta Reviews. The channel is back on its feet again to offer you insightful and informative car reviews. Thank you to all of you who have been subscribing to the channel and even commenting on the videos. Your support is much appreciated. So today we will take a look at an in-depth comparison review of two tough and rugged 7-seater SUVs in the Kenyan market. So you want to upgrade maybe from a crossover to a proper SUV that is well built, reliable and safe, and you can't decide on which one between the 2014 Toyota Prado and the 2014 Mitsubishi Pajero. You are at the right place because we are going to get as extensive as we can in this review to help you decide on which SUV you should go for. So please stay tuned. Before we start, let me take this opportunity to bring something to your attention. Car prices have been on a steep rise and I reckon they will just keep going high. We have now got to a point where even a Vitz or Paso can set you back at around 1 million or more. So now this category of people who prefer to buy a used, bigger and better car than something like a Vitz, but at a reasonable price. For example, at times I receive messages from people stating that they are looking for a Toyota Premio or Toyota Avensis with a budget of between 500 to around 700,000 shillings. Now, these are not cars that you will often find at car dealerships. Mostly you will be able to buy them from actual owners, and this is what most of the buyers I've encountered prefer. They prefer to buy from the actual car owner instead of buying from the car dealer, because the car dealer will definitely want to sell at a higher price to make more profit. But if you buy from the actual car owner, you will most likely pay a reasonable price. So this is the reason I've decided to introduce a platform where one can advertise his or her car for sale. If you have your own personal car and you intend to sell it, you can now advertise it on the channel. There will be no intermediaries at all. It will just be you, the seller, and the potential buyers. The potential buyers will be linked directly to the seller. So if you are interested in this service, then feel free to reach me via WhatsApp or email. So let's begin this review by a very brief history of these two SUVs. If you are in any town, estate or neighborhood, you can be sure that you will see a Toyota Prado passing by. There are so many, both the old and new models. They are simply everywhere, and that tells a lot about this car. People like it because of how tough and reliable it is. But did you know that the Mitsubishi Pajero used to be the king of SUVs back in the 80s and 90s? Back then, Pajeros used to outsell Prados, but Toyota, being Toyota, they found a way to dethrone the Pajero. And up until now, the Prado has managed to dominate not just the Kenyan market, but in so many other countries around the world. So first, let's begin with the price and specifications of each car. Then we will conclude by discussing which car is the better option and why. With around 4.8 to around 6 million Kenya shillings, you can get yourself a 2014 Toyota Prado. 2015 to 2018 models are more expensive, ranging between 6.5 to around 9 million, while 2013 and below are more affordable at around between 3 to 4 million shillings, depending on the trim level, mileage and condition. The Mitsubishi Pajero is more affordable. Its starting price undercuts that of the Prado by around 1.5 million, which is quite a significant amount of money. With between 3.3 to around 4.7 million shillings, you can get yourself a 2014 Mitsubishi Pajero. Earlier models like the 2012 and 2013 are even more affordable. So in terms of the purchase price, the Pajero appears to offer more value for money when you also factor in what it has to offer with regards to features and functionality. Moving on to insurance costs, the third party is 7,000 shillings on each car, while for the comprehensive insurance I got back 4 different quotations from different insurance companies. For the Toyota Prado, the highest quotation I got was 195,000 shillings per annum, while the lowest was 156,000 shillings per annum. There was also a quotation of 182,000 shillings and 169,000 shillings per annum, but on average it's roughly 176,000 shillings per annum. As for the Pajero, I also got 4 different quotations. The highest was 138,000 shillings per annum, while the lowest was 111,000 shillings per annum. There was also a quotation of 120,000 shillings per annum and 130,000 shillings per annum, but on average it's roughly 125,000 shillings per annum. So again, the Pajero is the more affordable option. Going by the average figures, it undercuts the Prado's insurance cost by around 51,000 shillings per annum. Let's now talk engine options. The Prado gets 3. There is a 2.7 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine, a 3.0 litre 4-cylinder turbo D4D diesel engine, and lastly a 4.0 litre V6 petrol engine, which is the most powerful. This car is only available in full range 4-wheel drive, so it's quite an off-road capable SUV. The Pajero also has 3 engine options: a 3.0 litre V6 petrol engine, a 3.2 litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel, and lastly a more powerful 3.8 litre V6 petrol engine. This car is also available only in full range 4-wheel drive, so it's also very capable off-road. The Prado gets 4 transmission options: a 5 or 6-speed manual or a 5 or 6-speed automatic. Torque convert automatics to be precise. The Pajero on the other hand gets 2 transmission options: a 5-speed manual or a 5-speed automatic. In terms of the brakes, these being heavy cars that need strong brakes to bring them to a complete stop, they both get disc brakes all around, with the front ones being ventilated. Moving on to fuel consumption, the 2.7 litre in the Prado can achieve around 9.5 kilometers per litre, the 3.0 litre turbo diesel around 10 kilometers per litre, and lastly the 4.0 litre V6 around 7 kilometers per litre. They are not very fuel efficient, but it is expected because they are heavy and powerful. You would maybe expect the 2.7 litre to be much fuel efficient than it is, but that's not the case because that engine is slightly underpowered considering the weight of this car, and it will even consume more fuel if you load up the car, because you will now find yourself working the accelerator even harder to squeeze out as much power as possible. The 3.0 litre diesel is the most fuel efficient, yet it is still reasonably powerful for daily drives as well as long distance safaris. The 4.0 litre V6 is the most powerful, but it will definitely dent your pocket when it comes to its fuel consumption. The 3.0 litre V6 petrol in the Pajero can achieve around 9 km per litre, the 3.2 litre diesel around 10.5 km per litre, which is very slightly better than the Prado's 3.0 D4D. This may mostly be attributed to weight. The Pajero is lighter than the Prado by around 120 kilograms. Lastly, the more powerful 3.8 litre V6 can get around 8 km per litre. The Prado has a 150 litre fuel tank, which is quite large. The main tank is 87 litres while the reserve tank is 63 litres. The Pajero on the other hand has an 88 litre fuel tank. So you will definitely have a longer driving range from a full tank in the Prado than in the Pajero. Prado has a ground clearance of around 220 mm, while the Pajero has a 216 mm. You sit quite high off the ground in both cars, so the view of the road ahead is quite excellent. The downside is that there is quite a lot of body roll, so it's always advisable not to drive fast even on slight bends. In fact, the body roll in the Prado is much more than in the Pajero because the Prado is slightly taller, so it has a higher center of gravity. So how much will it cost to service each car here? Note that the bigger engine options like the 4.0 litre V6 in the Prado and the 3.8 litre V6 in the Pajero will cost more to service. It will also depend on the quality of parts you go for. For example, if you use mineral oil, the 7 litre jerrycan will cost about 6,000 shillings and the service intervals will be shorter. That is, after every 5,000 kilometers you will have to do the minor service. On the other hand, if you use synthetic oil, which is more expensive at around 8,500 shillings for the 7 litre jerrycan, the service intervals will now be longer. That is, after between 8,000 to around 10,000 kilometers is when you will be required to do the minor service. An air filter should cost about 2,800 shillings. So on average for the minor service, you may spend about 15,000 shillings on each car, depending on the quality of parts you go for. But as I've said, the bigger engines will cost slightly more to service because For example, the 4.0 liter V6 in the Prado will definitely require more oil than the 2.7 liter 4-cylinder. As for the major service, expect to spend between 25 to around 30,000 shillings on each car after 15,000 kilometers. Something else to note is that the diesel engines, especially in the Pajero, may be more sensitive, so you have to be very careful with the service schedule as well as the quality of parts you use. I forgot to mention that for the diesel, the minor service should be done after 5,000 kilometers, but for the petrol, it can be done between 8 to 10,000 kilometers, especially if you use synthetic oil. As for the carb weight, it ranges between 2,230 to around 2,455 kgs in the Prado, while in the Pajero it ranges between 2,110 to around 2,165 kgs. So the Prado is the heavier SUV here. So now let's take a quick fun fact break, then we will resume and proceed on to the optional features offered by each car. Finally, let's have a look at some of the optional features you can get in each car. The top variants come very well kitted. You can get the Prado with a sunroof, leather interior, electric seats, cold storage space in the center console to keep drinks chilled, a navigation system, LED daytime running lights, cooled front seats, a KDSS suspension and cruise control, also a keyless entry and go. You can get the Pajero with a sunroof, leather seats, electric seats, navigation system, Rockford Fosgate audio system, cruise control and keyless entry and go. So that said, let's now move on into the exterior and interior of these cars. They both look rugged and have quite some road presence. I think the Pajero looks a bit more classy and executive, especially those with the two-tone color treatment, while the Prado looks bold and off-road ready. Generally, they have almost the same design language, characterized with the wide-angle view mirror on the front left fender and the spare wheel mounted at the tailgate. Some variants of the Prado do not have that provision for the spare wheel. It is instead located under the back of the car, which makes it slightly difficult to access. Moving on into the interior, both cars are very spacious at the front and second rows. The third rows should mostly be left for kids, but adults can be accommodated for just short journeys. With the third row of seats up, there is little storage space, but once they are folded into the boot floor, then the boot of each car here becomes spacious enough to carry even 4 large suitcases. You can get electric switches to fold down the third row of seats in some variants of the Prado, but in the Pajero you have to do it manually, but it is easy and straight to the point. The second row of seats can also be folded to create even more room in each car. So in terms of space, both are quite practical. The dashboard designs are simple but well laid out. The controls are big and easy to reach. The storage spaces are also decent enough, so there's not really much to complain about. Some people might not like the vertical design of the Pajero's dashboard, but other than that, everything feels very well put together. They both feel like they were built to last, built like tanks. You can get wood finish in both SUVs to give that premium look. These cars are very comfortable, except that the Prado might feel a bit more bouncy compared to the Pajero, but it's not too bad. Most people who buy these cars never take them out for off-roading, but if at all you ever find yourself in a muddy or slippery road surface, then you can be sure that you will be able to extricate yourself with ease, as both of these cars come with full range 4-wheel drive systems. They are built on a ladder chassis, so they are tough enough. So there you have it. Now here comes the most important question: which one should you go for? Right from the start, we have clearly seen that the Pajero is the more affordable option among these two SUVs, but yet people just keep buying the Prado. There must be a reason why most people avoid the Pajero. So what is the reason? Pajero is a good SUV, but it is a bit delicate and so sensitive to poor maintenance. It is not as reliable as the Prado. Now don't get me wrong, Pajero can be a very reliable SUV, but you will have to be more keen with its maintenance and even pamper it. It's not a car that can take a beating and mistreatment and just keep going. On the other hand, the Prado is much tougher. It will just keep going. You can abuse it, but it will just keep going. Any car will eventually die if it is abused and maintained poorly. But the main point here is that the Pajero may have an early death, but the Prado will keep going for some more time, but will also eventually die if the beating and poor maintenance persists. That toughness and reliability is what lures people to the Prado, and they are willing to pay an extra 1.5 million for the Prado. Another reason is the resale value. The resale value in the Pajero is good, but on the Prado it is very good. It is so good that I've even seen a Prado with the dents still fetch well of 50% of its initial value. In terms of the spare parts, they are readily available in major towns, but note that those of the Prado are more expensive than those of the Pajero. So if you want to have something different, then get the Pajero. It will satisfy your expectations if you maintain it very meticulously. The best engine to go for is the 3.8 liter V6 petrol. The 3.0 liter V6 feels a bit lazy and slightly underpowered, while the 3.2 liter turbo diesel is very sensitive. On the other hand, if you don't mind blending into the crowd but want to have something tough, durable and reliable, then just get the Prado with the 3.0 liter D4D diesel engine. The 2.7 liter is underpowered, while the 4.0 liter V6 will not be forgiving on fuel. Which one will you go for? Let me know in the comment section. I would personally go with the Prado. If you even want something more unique that competes against these two SUVs, then it is the option of the Land Rover Discovery. But only go for that car if you have very deep pockets. Otherwise, when the repairs start, you may easily develop stomach ulcers and even fall into depression. So I hope this has been helpful. Please don't forget to subscribe for more car comparison reviews and even actual informative reviews. If you have any inquiries, feel free to reach me via WhatsApp or email. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. See you in the next video.